Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. I want to remind you again, we're all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, our official website, thestephenknightshow.com. If you're listening to us now, you can watch us on our YouTube channel, The Stephen Knight Show. And if you rather listen to us because you don't like what you see, you can go to our podcast, Apple Music. Just go to our website, stephenknightshow.com. All right, so over the weekend, your boy had a rally in Tulsa. It started off very controversial because first he was having it on Juneteenth, which marks the day that the last slaves found out they were free in Texas. And then he was having in Tulsa where they had the Tulsa Massacre, where what was considered to be Black Wall Street was burned down by a white mob. Over 300 people were murdered and thousands of businesses were destroyed. He did end up moving the rally to the following Saturday, but of course there were a lot of protests on both sides. There were some people that started camping out outside of the arena where he was having his rally. 2 days in advance. Of course, you saw the Confederate flags. I saw one guy. He only had one hand, which is odd, but he had no shirt on and he had on jeans with a racist tattoo, and he literally had a whip going like this to the audience, like he was a slave master.
Oh, wow.
Well, anyway, he had his rally. He expected 19,000 people to show up, and only 6,200 people showed up. He said that over 1 million people had RSVP'd, but a lot of people think that there was a campaign on TikTok where a bunch of high schoolers or teenagers, they all registered and vowed not to go. They were trying to make the numbers look like it was one thing, but not to go. Apparently, he was very upset about the turnout. We were mad at his campaign manager, Nancy Pelosi. She retweeted an article talking about the numbers. She says 6,200 people, that could have been a Zoom call. While speaking out about the coronavirus, he referred to it as the Kung flu, which is a racist term, obviously talking about Asian Americans. 10 people, including some of his staffers and Secret Service, they all work for him. They all tested positive following the rally. There was actually footage of Trump once they got back to D.C. coming off of Air Force One, and he looked exhausted. He just looked like defeated. So, what are your thoughts on the rally? He did joke, like you said, Chika. He joked about to slow down the test so the numbers stop. Well, he said slow down the test so the numbers would not be so high. The White House official said that he was joking about it. When asked about it today, he didn't deny or admit to it. What are your thoughts, Chika? About everything?
At this stage in the game, you're the leader of the free world. Why in the hell would you joke about such a severe situation?
Yep.
American people, well, not just American people are dying around the world. And you're going to make a joke? The White House thinks that it's appropriate for this man who's supposed to be the leader of the free world to make a joke about people dying in a pandemic disease that's killing people. He can make a joke. That's allowed.
Right.
Let Barack have made a joke.
And he did not once talk about Juneteenth or talk about the Black Lives Matter protest or anything.
Wait, though. But he did talk about Juneteenth. Remember, he said that he brought it to everyone's light.
Oh yeah, prior to the rally, yeah, he said that no one knew about it. Yeah. Mind you, he said that, but his for the last 3 years, the White House has been sending out a message about Juneteenth every year on that day. Every president has up since Bill Clinton. So no, he did not. He did not bring it to the forefront. He did.
No, and this man's been lying about his numbers from the beginning. If you remember, when he gave his inaugural speech, he was ranting and raving about the crowd that was out there that day. Lie. Mm-hmm. Everything that comes out of this man's mouth is a lie.
Yeah.
I will say this. If you look at the rally, you don't have to really listen to what he says. Just look at the crowd. If you notice, and everyone on here, we do something in entertainment. So we know about staging. We know about how to make a presentation for the masses. So everyone that was at the rally was in the line of the camera view. Everyone was piled in behind him.
Yeah.
When they did a wide pan of what that room, what the auditorium really looked like, it looked like one of those rodeos where they have like two circus clowns and no one that's in the rodeo is really on top billing anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been to a rodeo, but when you go to one of those scarce ones, it's like 4 and 5 people in the audience, and they're all spread out. That's what it looked like to me.
Well, here's the thing. So you weren't required to, they did take your temperature supposedly when you got there, but you weren't required to wear a mask. He's having another rally in Arizona, which is one of the states that's seeing a dramatic spike, and they're not required to wear masks there as well. Naya, what's your take on all of this?
Yeah, man. You know, this guy, this guy's a clown, man.
Can't make it up.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those. What is that series called? Lemony Snicket's a series of unfortunate events. This is just, I just see him as a goof, man. He's a goof. But you know, he's the people's choice, I guess. You know, but I do agree with Chige. I mean, it's very clear that he's been caught in several lies. They all lie, but he's been caught in several of them. I don't believe anything really he says, and I wouldn't want to, and I don't trust him, and I don't count on him for any advice or suggestions. He's just a goof to me, man. So you know, just the beginning of, I guess, maybe what's to come for his last little time in office. You know, these numbers, perhaps.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the followers, the people that are following him. They had to sign a waiver saying that they will not sue if they catch coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually signing your life away to go see this fool.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Mason, what's your take?
My take on Trump, it's so comical. This is something that, you know, it's this presidency is something that we've never seen before. It's more like I don't know if y'all curse on here, but y'all curse on here?
Yeah.
It's more like a shit show. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's like, and then what makes me, like, I can see Trump has always been that narcissistic type person, but to me, I look at the other Republicans in the party that allows him to just kind of run rampant and do whatever he wants to do. The way that he takes revenge out on people that don't agree with him, and, you know, that type of stuff like that. I'm like, this is more like a dictatorship, you know, and so I'm just wondering, like, when Trump is finally out of office, what are these other politicians that are basically kissing his ass and basically, like, not really, you know, they're not really concerned about the policies and things that don't concern everybody, that don't look like, you know, like Trump. You know, they're catering to a base that has awakened, you know, some of the worst type of people in this country, like the racists, the you know, people just the most uneducated type people you can just, I mean, it's amazing that, like, when you look at these videos and you see the people, they basically pander to him. Like, anything he says, it's like Trump can't do no wrong. I mean, he could take a crap on the stage and write his name in it and throw it in the audience, and they'll love it. Clap and love it. Oh, he's wonderful. And that right there is just like, I don't know if it's the issues, like the policies and the things that they really are supporting him over, or is it the fact that they believe that he's a racist by the things that he said to spark some type of you know, support from a base that nobody really tapped into in a long while. And I feel like he's just saying things to get those votes, to get people to support him. But I don't know if he necessarily believes that, because, you know, rich white people don't care shit about white trash people. That, I mean, I don't consider them white trash, but that's just the way it is. They don't give a fuck about white trash. I mean, you're not gonna see Trump hanging out at the rodeo or some redneck bar or something like that. And somehow these people feel like a connection with him because he says certain things that they like the racism and things like that, speaking against the Hispanic community, the blacks and different things like that. They feel some type of connection to him without even really thinking about the bigger picture. So I just wonder what everybody's gonna do when this asshole's like literally out of when he's out of office. Like, what are you gonna do to save face after this? Because he's gonna be in office forever.
Right,
You know?
exactly. And I was watching. Lately, I've been reading a lot of the comments on our Instagram page, and you would be shocked at the number of Black and Hispanic people who support him. They said he's not racist. They said that he's a wild boy, but he's not racist. He's the best president we've ever had. And he's just exposing America, and that's why everyone's mad at hating on him, whatever. I just want to write back self-hate.
Well, it's a lot of people that supporting Trump. I could say these so-called Black conservatives that follow Trump, it's really for a paycheck. Because like the Candace Owens, the Angela Statons, whatever the hell her name is, like they literally follow this dude because they can get a check out of it. All you have to do is denounce anything that has Black pride in it. Anything that's like the whole thing with George Floyd, how she came on and she spoke against that. Candace Owens. You know, anything Trump does, you lie, say whatever you got to do to protect him. And they do this because it gets them into certain rooms and they're basically the mouthpiece, and they can say all the derogatory things against the Black community or the Hispanic community and get away with it because they're Black or they're Hispanic. They can get away with it. And they get paid money to put on these airs for a check.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like,
yeah, he had that one woman that works in his campaign, Black woman. She actually quit after he made the comments about making Juneteenth popular. She actually quit. She said she could no longer not put her morals in front of her job. Were you going to say, Nair? I'm sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Was that recent?
Yeah, that was over the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. What did you say, Nair?
Slipped my mind.
Okay. All right.
It slipped my mind, but it wasn't about this. But what Candace Owens to me is Candace Owens is just an articulate wreck to me.
Yeah,
she's an articulate wreck. She can speak. She speaks very well, but she's a wreck. Wreck to
right.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a wreck. But that's nothing new. But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. It was something in regard to something Mason said, but it'll come back maybe.
Okay. Well, let's switch gears about these statues. So, they've been taking a lot of the statues down amid the Black Lives Matter protests and whatnot. So it looks like another statue is being taken down, the current climate of society and recent protests that have been sweeping the world. This time, the statue is of Theodore Roosevelt can count its days, as it's been announced that it'll be coming down. According to ABC News, the statue, which is located at the entrance of the American Museum of Natural History, has been there since 1940 and depicts Roosevelt on a horse with a Native American and an African American standing next to the horse. On Sunday, Mayor de Blasio announced that the statue, which symbolizes colonial expansion and racial discrimination, will no longer sit at the museum. The museum has agreed to take it down. They said this is the right time to remove this problematic statue. So I was watching The View today, and Meghan McCain was asking, she said she's kind of torn about the statues and whatnot because, I know we're looking at everything and people are taking things up like Aunt Jemima, her name's being, that brand's being changed. Uncle Ben, the rice, that brand's being changed. And she's asking what's going to be the threshold. It's like with the statues, because that was a time where people did have slaves. That was, that was just the time. So are we going to, like with our four founders, are we going to take them down? So she's just trying to see what's going to be the, when people are going to determine, okay, enough is enough. What are your thoughts, Chiga?
Well, I think a good threshold would be give us our reparations. Give us our reparations, then you don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
You never have to visit anything ever again. Give us what we are owed, our 40 acres and a mule, and we'll all be good. We'll settle up. I want to talk about how it is unpatriotic for people like Colin Kaepernick to take a knee, right? It's wrong for him to do that. It's almost a sacrilege. It's blasphemous for him to take a knee against America, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have, and Stephen, we both have Virginia, Richmond roots. Mm-hmm. Every other block, there is a statue honoring someone from that era. Okay.
Yeah.
Please remember what these people represent. They represent a time period where the country was split. And these people basically fought against the government
Yep.
to keep
The
slavery
traitors.
intact.
Mhm.
So basically, you had defectors of the country within the country wanting to fight the powers that be in order to keep other human beings in cages and own them and whip them and mate them and sell them. But Colin Kaepernick and people of the like can't take a knee. You don't get any unpatriotic than that
Right.
to defect against the government.
Absolutely.
But you want to hold up statues and keep honoring and memorabilia from this time period when it was so ugly to the core of what America is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So even then it was wrong, and you were fighting for it to stay in existence then. And now that you've lost and we're allegedly free, you still want to uphold that memorabilia, which was so hateful. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense.
And you know, Juneteenth, I was doing some research over on Thursday night just so I could be, well versed in it all. The reason why, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed 2 years before Juneteenth. And the reason the slave owners in Houston and Texas, those areas, they did not follow the law. They did not follow the law. They knew the slaves were free, but they wanted to have another harvest. They wanted to have a fresh harvest. So that's why they kept them for another 2 years. It wasn't until the certain soldier came down there and told them, you are free. And even then they were free with nothing. Where did we go? What do we do? I was watching Blackish had the episode of Blackish highlighted when they talked about Juneteenth, and everyone needs to watch that. It was very educational. Like, they lied about Christopher Columbus being this nice guy, making peace with the Indians. No, he killed the Indians, cut their hands off, stole from them after they tried to help him. He was not a good man. George Washington, they always said George Washington never told a lie. He was a notorious liar. And they tried to say that he freed his slave, which his slaves he did not. He had the slaves up to his dying day. So it's a lot of things they teach us in school that is just not true. Just
and he
not
didn't
true.
have wooden teeth. He had slave teeth.
They had slave teeth in his mouth, not wooden teeth. Yeah. Naya, what's your take on this?
They need to come down. Those statues need to come down. That's just plain and simple. This is it's almost like, how when people get a divorce, they get to that point of getting a divorce, and the reason is irreconcilable
Differences. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's almost what we're facing here in America. We're almost facing that here. There's it's a back and forth. We see things differently. We know the problems, but we see things differently than the people who are running the show here. And they don't want to let us to be a part of running the show. I mean, it's just very clear. It is very clear and evident from the history till now. They don't want us to be, us meaning Black people here in America and globally, but they don't want us a part of this show that they've set up, that they've stolen from other people. We have Black Americans and white Americans. I think there are just irreconcilable differences between the two of us. The goddamn statues need to come down. They're not representative of a progressive nation. These people are, like Chike said, some of the most unpatriotic people who they have these bronze casts and concrete cast statues or stone cast statues of. They need to come down. And I don't feel any other way about it. They need to come down. And if they're going to, if we're going to have some serious conversation and some serious progress, then we got to do the things that are going to allow us to progress seriously. Those statues got to come down.
Yeah.
They got to come down, especially the ones in the most notable areas of the country where people are known to visit en masse. They need to come down.
Yep. Most definitely. Amazing. What do you thought?
For goodness sake, they tore down the Berlin Wall. They tear down things that no longer represent that ideology.
Right.
How would they feel if they had the whole Holocaust situation still set up? Statues of Hitler still set up. How would they feel about that?
Yeah. Most
Absolutely. Just like they did, over in Africa when they tore down that president who was no longer representative of the people. They took that state they broke that statue right off, immediately.
Yep.
I forget what year that was, but I can find it. Anyhow, that's the point. It needs to come down. It's no longer relevant.
Most definitely. Amazing.
Yeah. First of all, one thing, if you guys ever heard of Ona Judge, if you ever get a chance to look that up, Ona Judge, she was an enslaved woman that belonged to George Washington, and she escaped and got her freedom, but he literally was hunting her down to try to get her back to be a slave again. It's a lot with this guy. I mean, like you want to call him the founding father of the country, but whose founding father is he representing? He wasn't representing us because at that time we were enslaved.
Right.
Just like the Declaration of Independence, it wasn't pertaining to Black people or people of color because we were seen as property at that time. We weren't even citizens of this United States.
Correct.
Yeah.
So being patriotic and all those things, it hit different for us. And the thing with the statues, when Megan, I saw that segment and she was basically saying, at what end do we, how far are we going to go with this?
Right.
And I say, take all the shit down. To be honest, because if you want a country you want a country that represents all people, and it's supposed to be a nation of a nation that represents all of us, whatever your ethnic background is, it's supposed to represent everybody. There should not be things in place that makes other people feel uncomfortable because it represented a time where our people were in bondage, slaves, treated like animals. But at the same time, you're looking and you're celebrating traitors of the United States. The Confederate they were traitors to the United States. Why are we celebrating that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What other country does that?
Exactly.
But they want to call it heritage and we're celebrating our heritage. It literally states on Wikipedia what those symbols represented.
Yep.
White supremacy.
Yep.
Over people that they felt were inferior to them. So why are we celebrating that? I don't care whose heritage they want to say that's the heritage. You people are not originally from this country. So if you want to celebrate a heritage, celebrate your German heritage or Irish heritage or whatever it is, but trying to celebrate and use that whole thing to mask the whole racism thing when they know exactly what that means. It's just a slap in the face for all us African Americans and people of color to see those statues all the time. Go to schools named after slave owners and having money with slave owners on it. I say rewrite the whole thing, start over from scratch to where it's inclusive to all of us, because you got to look at it and keep changing these amendments and things like that, adding this on why? Because it didn't represent us. That's why. That's why they have to change it, constantly changing these things because it didn't represent. It wasn't for us. Absolutely. And then when something comes, when issues come about and they see some type of injustices, they like, oh, we got to go back and rewrite this because it doesn't include us. So why do we need to be celebrating the 4th of July when our people were enslaved during that time?
Very true.
How's that? Oh, we gained our independence from Great Britain. Good for y'all, but y'all had us fucking plant cotton fields picking cotton while y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know how ridiculous this sounds,
for
Stephen?
Betsy Ross to make that flag, the same cotton she used. Our ancestors picked that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, how are we supposed to look at it the same way?
Exactly.
You know how ridiculous this sounds? I have a big old sturdy tree right out in front of my place, right? So let's say that I made a noose, right? And I hung it on the tree just for decoration, like you would ornament the tree with a noose. And I said, oh, I just want to remember the good old days when we knew our place. I just want to have this just hang here.
Right.
That's how stupid it sounds.
Yeah. No, you're very right. You're very right. We're going to end it there. Amazing, Santiago. Thank you so much for joining us again. The podcast is called Every Artist Podcast. Check it out on Blog Talk Radio. Nair, as always, we appreciate you. And check out some movie reviews. But before we go, Rayshard Brooks, they had a public viewing for him today. I want to mention this. He had a public viewing for him today at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Martin Luther King Jr. Preached at, and his funeral is set for tomorrow. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family and all his loved ones. All right. Well, when we come back, we have Tay. What's his name?
Hey, the Prince.
Tay the Prince, my boy, Tay the Prince, John Legend's nephew. He joins us next to talk about his new video and with the cause they're supporting him and his uncle. Right back after this.